A final time that I'd like you to consider is that when you see this drawing, a famous one by Leonardo da Vinci, you also note that human beings have always been thinking about whether or not they could ever fly. In the dream of flight, one of the things that happened is that along came a young genius by the name of Isaac Newton, and he dashed the hopes of people who thought that if we, kind of added wings and beat them really powerfully, that we could fly by codifying the law of gravity. This is interesting because this is an ironclad law. And it's an interesting thing to note that this is not something that you can wish your way out of or that you can ignore. But one of the things that we see is that two brothers who are bicycle makers are the ones that take on the law of gravity, and rather than not recognize it for what it is, one of the things they do is they pursue a higher law. When something is a law and it's established, the right answer is not to try and pray it away, not to deal with it, to try and evade it. One of the things that you have to do is you have to pursue a law higher than the one that is confronting you in the pursuit of your objectives. So here we are. Law of gravity has been codified. It's there in 1687. These two brothers, Wilbur and Orville, what they do is they pursue a higher law in order to go above gravity. So one of the things that is interesting is that I would like us in our reflection this afternoon to note that the things that will confront business people, entrepreneurs, your entrepreneurial adventures, your business ventures are going to be real and they're going to be ironclad. What I'd like you to remember is not to try and wish them away, but to go in pursuit of a higher law. And that higher law is the law of lift. It's codified as well here. And one of the things that you do is that every time you see a flying object, you'll remember that this is the equation that lifted it up above the law of gravity. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do is to go, well, this is all well and good in the material world, but how can we bring this to a practical way of trying to find these higher laws? And in pursuit of a higher law, one of the things that I'd like to encourage you to do is to start off the search for this higher law by considering the why. There are a number of things. One of the things that I would note is that one of the best-selling business books, more than 1 million copies sold, by Simon Sinek, has got a very interesting relationship with why. One of the things that it does, that it gives you a sequence. It says to you, don't leave the why to the end. This is the beginning point. And that real insight alone is what propels this book to the top of the business book pantheon. And it's one of the things that I would encourage you to do as well. But I know that I've been asked to give you as much information in as short a time as possible. And so I'm not going to regale you with tales from that book. One of the things that I will do is I will show you this short video, which will give you the essence, will give you the concentrate, will give you the Mazoe orange of what it is that I'm trying to get through, to get across to you this afternoon. Please take a look.
So you're a musical director.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Oh, I'm fine, was blind, but now I see.
So one of the things I was hoping that we could get out of seeing that video was the idea that when you look at the first time that that gentleman starts singing, one of the things that you'll see is that there was a reaction to the audience. It wasn't a bad reaction, but it also wasn't like the second time around. The second time around, though, one of the things that I'll point out is that it wasn't a change in the microphone, wasn't a change in the speakers. There was no new choreography. There were no new backup dancers. There was nothing else that was new in that situation, except the connection of the person speaking and Michael Jr. giving him the why. All that it took was that connection. I point this out to say that wherever you sit now, wherever you're listening to this, whatever you're up to at this present moment, there is a power available to you by connecting to the why that does not need funding, that does not need a new piece of hardware, that does not need a new piece of software, that there are a whole range of elevations to what you're trying to do by connecting yourself to this why. This why, as you can see, is a higher law that a singer was able to use competently in both situations, but there was a thrill and a delight in the audience that happened the second time around, which did not happen the first time around. And so I would like you to consider that when you're trying to look for a higher law, that you connect yourself to why it is that you're doing certain things.